It's a great introduction, Life's Highway. We're all on this journey on Life's Highway. Good morning. The talk this morning is about mindfulness, and I'm going to take it in a little interesting direction because I want to put it in the context of what we teach here in Centers for Spiritual Living. We belong to Centers for Spiritual Living. There's about 400 of these centers around the world and based in Golden, Colorado. And I also want to talk about mindfulness and how Sue and I have experienced it this past month. So, Centers for Spiritual Living teaches this philosophy called religious science. It's described in the textbook called The Science of Mind, written by Dr. Ernest Holmes. And Holmes studied all the world's religions and all the texts of the world's religions, and he synthesized what he believed were the truths, the common threads that he found in all of them. We believe that God or infinite intelligence created everything out of itself, and the universe and everything in it is an undivided whole. We use that word oneness. We are all in this together. There's this one universe made from God's love, and we are brothers and sisters to each other. We believe the background energy in the universe is love. And you know when you feel love, that just juicy love, that's the love in which God created all of us. That's why we can tap into that. It's always there. We live in a life-affirming universe. And we believe that everything, as science is now showing, is made of energy. Even this podium, little atoms and quarks and different things spinning around, creating everything that's in the universe in different forms. It's all in motion. And then we believe that the universe operates in a lawful manner. There are some principles that help with creation. And the principle, we call it the law of cause and effect, that our beliefs, our feelings, our deeply held beliefs are creative energy. And that creative energy draws to it like experiences. So when you have real creative energy and you draw a beautiful picture or a painting and someone loves it, it's a beautiful way. But sometimes when we're feeling really negative and down on things, it also draws to us that kind of energy. And so it's called the creative process, and it's always in operation. And that's why you hear the words, if you don't like what you're experiencing, change your thinking and you will change your life. That's what that means. A couple of years ago, I was counseling a lady, I'll call her named Georgia at the moment, but she was afraid that she might not have enough personal strength to avoid going back to those years of drug addiction and alcoholism. I asked her about her past, and she said, well, I've always been unworthy. My parents told me so. They were always belittling me, and so I knew I really had nothing to offer the world. She married an abusive man and raised 2 children who became addicts. She thought she was the cause of their experience. In her sadness, the feeling, the pulse of drugs and alcohol to calm her unworthiness feeling, it was just pulling at her. So I was really glad she came to see me because I said, you know, Georgia, there's always another story. There's always a different way of looking at this. So I took out a piece of paper and I do a big S. I call it a Superman or a Superwoman S, big S. I said, that's you. You are a soul on an infinite journey. You've come to this place, taken this form in life, and I drew a big tail on that S, into infinity. And then I drew a block on that path. And I said, in my experience, talking to many, many, many people, you take this life experience to grow, to get beyond something. Do you know what that could be? Most people do. Unworthiness is a great one. I want to get beyond feeling bad about myself this time around. Why do it another time around? Might as well get her done now. You know, there's also energy of perpetual anger. Maybe it's, I really want to get beyond perpetual anger and start loving things in my life. It could be many things. The inability to give and receive love, that's a big one. The inability to find compassion, the inability to have empathy for people. There's dozens of things that souls are wanting to get beyond, but you need tools. First, you need to realize that it can be done, and then the tools to do it. So in unworthiness, what I find is people that feel very unworthy have no understanding of what it takes to be joyful, because they're always on that negative downer. I'm unworthy of a wonderful relationship. I'm unworthy of a good job. I'm unworthy of being prosperous. It's a real downer because that energy attracts like energy and proves it to yourself over and over and over again. But you know what? God doesn't make mistakes. He's created you to live and grow and be happy and successful and have loving relationships. If you're here, you're supposed to be here. This is where you grow. This is where you evolve, if you choose. Sometimes when I see people and they find out what this block is, it scares them and they regress. Can't deal with that. Can't deal with that. But through this teaching of the power of our mind, the power of our beliefs, we can get beyond that. And that's why we're here. Because if our beliefs don't change, the cycle continues. You know, when I first came to Reading and when I got divorced, I met a lot of single women and they go, oh, there's no good men in Reading. No good men in Reading. Because what they were attracting is their beliefs. Again and again and again. And I've met women who say, you know, I just have this pattern. I think this guy's great, and he turns out to be not great. And then I meet another one, and he turns out, it starts with them. It starts with them. But I've also met women who say there's no good women in Reading. Same thing, same MO. It's their belief. So if you meet with a practitioner or a minister here, our focus is, what's happening in your life that you'd like to see changed or improved? What would you like to improve? And we'll come up with the words in a prayer to stimulate that improvement, to show you that through a new belief you can achieve that. Then we also like to say, well, what negative belief are you hanging on to? Unworthiness is a good one. Somebody did me wrong song, that's a good song. There's all kinds of negative beliefs, and so we will give you words to use to change that, I am fully worthy of love, prosperity, health, creativity. You know, if you could roll out a long piece of paper down the hallway maybe and write down all the experiences that you've had on your many lifetimes, it would be interesting because you would see a thread of truth going through it. You would see a thread. Oh yeah, bad relationship here. Oh boy, that was really, and you would just see the thread of your subconscious beliefs. Why? It's the law of cause and effect. A few years ago, a man came to me with a serious medical condition, and he asked for healing prayer. And often when people come and they say, I have this health condition, I say, have you ever heard of Louise Hay? And most people have. You may not have, but most people have. She spent her life watching and studying personal energy and where that energy settles in your body. She wrote a whole book, You Can Heal Your Life. So I asked this gentleman, can I pull that book off the shelf? And he said, okay. I opened it up to his medical condition, and what did it say? What causes that condition is perpetual anger. I said, does that make sense to you? He goes, oh yeah. My whole family, that's how they communicated. They yelled at each other, they screamed at each other, they fought. He said, there isn't a day I can remember when they weren't yelling. So that became his reaction to whatever was going on in his life, anger. And of course, there's a lot of things out there in the world today that you would love to get roaring angry about. But is that good for you? So the spiritual mind treatment was about love. Can you catch yourself in this instant of wanting to be angry and think, how can I bring love to this situation? How can I help shift that energy? Because where our attention goes, our energy flows. If we can identify that negative habit energy and accept the courage to change it, we're here to help. Here's 3 quotes that I like about this. Viktor Frankl, you might know him as a person that was in concentration camps in World War II. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space lies our freedom and our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. Isn't that true? Between what we hear and how we respond, there's a space. What is our response based on? Is it perpetual anger? Is it judgment? Is it joy? Is it happiness? Is it love? We have that space where we make a choice. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "The present moment is the only time over which we have dominion." True, the present moment. Right here, right now, you're choosing how you feel. I kind of feel a little warm in this room, but then it's a warm day. But every moment you're at choice. Am I going to sit back and judge? Am I going to take in the words? Am I going to think about them, consider them? Am I going to say, man, she's out to lunch? Hopefully not. But another thing we can choose in that space is neutrality. Just go, oh, that's interesting. We learned that one in ministerial school. Something happens, you go, I'll be darned. That's very interesting. Pema Chodron wrote, "Nothing ever goes away until it's taught us what we need to know." Nothing ever goes away till it's taught us what we need to know. Now, this is a powerful statement to me because we know in this philosophy everything happens for a reason. You know, I volunteer at a crisis center 2 mornings a week, and I have a little lending library there where I can bring all my spiritual books, and all the clients can read them. And I noticed the book on the top of one pile was Everything Happens for a Reason, and I started to laugh because I thought, you know, if you don't already believe that, you're not going to pick that book up. No way. But I picked it up, and I thought, oh, this is so great. And then I thought, yeah, it's probably going to be here for a long time. Because if everything happens for a reason, are you really willing to look at those negative experiences? Are you really willing to look at the world and go, never thought about doing it that way? We're not passive bystanders in life. So imagine this situation. A friend of yours, someone you've known for a long time, had a bad experience. And you're surprised. And you let that friend know, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you had that bad experience. But then that friend goes on to tell everyone else that it's your fault. It's your fault. You're dumbfounded, obviously. And your gut says, wait a minute, how can I be the cause of your experience? And this is the energy that Sue and I were working on right now. People coming to us and they say, we found out it's all your fault. How could you do that? Someone had a bad experience. John Kabat-Zinn wrote, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. I love that. I love that visualization. Because Sue and I are surfing. We are doing a lot of surfing. We're doing a lot of mindfulness, a lot of spiritual practices. I am not in charge of your experience, but I can have compassion for you. I can have love for you. But I don't have to swallow the water while I'm surfing. You know, we were blessed, Sue and I and Reverend Kay and Reverend Sharon, we were so blessed to be taught ministerial training by Dr. James and Andrea Golden. Andrea is now Azevedo, but magnificent teachers, magnificent teachers. And they taught us time after time after time, you are the author of your experience. And we went, I don't want to hear it, and we'd have these experiences. One time I invested in a company that 3 months later went bankrupt, and I said, what do you think about that? And James said, well, what did you do to attract that? Yeah, that's the truth. Something in us had attractive energy that attracted that. There's many stories like that. And Reverend Kay was here at 9 o'clock, and she's going, yep, I remember. Oh, being a big girl and a minister, it's sometimes a lot to chew on. But there's a lot of people in the world today that are very reactive. Turn on the news. Don't you want to throw a rock through the screen? Don't you want to write a letter and not be nice about it? I mean, a lot of reactive energy. When someone says something we don't like, how short is that space between that, hearing it, and our reaction? We can deal with both positive and negative comments or experiences or things that we see in the world more calmly and make better decisions through this thing called mindfulness. Now, I think Sue and I are doing a pretty good job of it, praying for the healing of all concerned, because this increases our compassion when we can see everybody's experience moving through life, knowing you're the creator of it, and having great compassion for how this looks sometimes. So there's 6 exercises I'd like to remind you or bring to you today. And Damien did a good job last Sunday on mindful breathing. Breathing in, slowly breathing out. About 6 seconds. 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out. Let go of your thoughts. Just let them go. Just focus on what it feels to be breathing. And I was reading Thich Nhat Hanh's book on teaching mindfulness to children. And he said, try this. Take your index finger and put your hand up and go, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Now you can do that in a doctor's waiting room. You can do that anywhere. Now they might think, what's she doing? But mindfulness is just that simple. It's just that simple. Breathing in and out, mindful breathing. Another mindful experience is mindful observation. So I encourage you, just now, pick something in the room and just stare at it. It might be the back of your chair, it might be Nina's beautiful hair, it might be the clouds or the stained glass window. Just pick something and just stare at it as if you'd never seen it before. That's how simple it is. Mindful awareness, number 3, a heightened appreciation of the simple things we do every day, like opening a door. What we've been taught as practitioners and ministers when we open and close the center, we open the door with love. We open the door and welcome you. We open the door and know you may be spiritually fulfilled today. When you start your computer, mindful awareness. Thank God for those people that figured out how to create these machines. Be grateful. Be grateful you know how to run them or are learning to run them. How blessed we are to have such machines. Perhaps somebody's cooking a lovely meal and you smell the aroma and you know that food is going to taste so good because it was created with love. When I stop at a traffic light, a red light, I actually think of all the people in the city and the county and public works who create the lights that kind of, smart lights, and how they let the traffic all flow for our safety. I'm always grateful for that. The third mindful thing is mindful listening. And this is really fun. Be open to all the sounds around you. So when you walk outside, you might hear birds. Pay attention. Oh, they're singing a beautiful song. Or the wind in the trees. And when you're inside, paying attention to what you're hearing inside. Hopefully the air conditioner. It's funny, most of the time I don't hear this clock on our counter that goes tick-tock, tick-tock. I only hear it when I want to be quiet and meditate. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Otherwise, I don't hear it. So it's interesting. It's one of those background things. And if I want to pay attention to it, I'm grateful for the person that created it. And when I'm in the house, I'm always listening. We have the most precious cat in the world, Gracie. And she likes to carry this little soft mouse around, and she goes, and I hear her coming down the hall, coming to see me with her little mouse, and oh, it just makes me smile. She's such a cutie. So mindful listening. And then Craig and your wife are here, and KKRN and KFOI, 2 community radio stations. Craig's on there a lot. And they often have very eclectic music, and I love it because they'll have African music and Jamaican music and all kinds of music from around the world. And when I listen to that, if I'm mindful, I'm going to listen to the music. What are the instruments? Are they the kettle drums that make me want to dance? What is it? Is Moroccans that they shake? What sounds are there? And then what are the people singing, and how they use their voice to blend with all this to make such beautiful music? That's a beautiful mindfulness experience. We don't judge it, we just take it all in. Number 5 is mindful immersion. When we're striving to get something done, like you gotta wash the car, you gotta pull weeds in the yard, you gotta mow the yard, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And if you say, I'm gonna do it mindfully, I'm gonna get on my knees, put on my gloves, and I'm gonna find that weed and just gently pull it out. And observe how tough it was to pull that out. Observe what the soil does after I pull that out. We don't think about the beautiful yard we're going to have at some point by pulling weeds. We think of the moment. This is a stepping stone to beauty. Number 6 is mindful appreciation. Notice 5 things in your average day that usually go unappreciated. Things that you just don't give a second thought to. And I was thinking about our blue couch. It's a blue couch. But when you look at it, it's got a little thread of purple in it, and then a little thread of gold, and a little thread of blue, and a little thread of red, and it's a mixture that on the surface looks like a blue couch, but when you really observe it, you can appreciate the artist who created this fabric that we love so much. Because what we did when we bought that couch with that fabric, we had our kitchen's chairs covered with the same fabric. We had our bar stools covered with the same fabric. We love that fabric. But you could easily walk by and go, yeah, blue couch. We have a beautiful wood cabinet, and being in the forest industry most of my life, I have an appreciation for forests and wood and the beauty of wood. And I could go, yep, there's a hickory cabinet. But if I look closely, I can see the rings of the trees. And I can think the smell of the forest where it came from. And I can think of how it made its way from a forest into our house where we love it. So that's mindful appreciation. So I encourage you to try that when you get home. Because it's all connected. It's all connected. In fact, even when I'm driving down the street, if I'm having a hectic day, I love my car. It's a Toyota Highlander. I love it. I can take all kinds of crap to POP and shoes to the homeless, and I fill that baby up, and it's so reliable. And I'll be sitting at a stop sign, and I'll tap on the steering wheel, go, good car, I love you. Hey, it's all energy. It's all energy. I love that. I just love it. There's a lot of research that is being done in major universities about mindfulness, not just what is mindful, but how it impacts your body. And it also changes our brain. It keeps away more of the negative stuff when we're mindful and grateful for life. Again, as Viktor Frankl wrote, between the stimulus and the response, there's a space. In that space lies our freedom and the power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So sometimes, I live in Cottonwood. I come into town every day. There's all this construction that's going to last for 3 years. And I'm driving. I'm being mindful driving, thinking I'm mindful driving. And here comes somebody's got to get there fast. Whoosh! Goes around me. And I go, what is it with that guy? It's always a guy. Not really, but I always think, what is it with this guy? And then here comes the motorcycle in between the car next to me and me going, whoosh. What is it with this guy? But if you're mindful, you can say, I hope you make it home safely. I really hope you make it home safely. Years ago, a car passed me going faster than I would ever even think of going. And, a little snarky remark came out of my mouth. But down the road, he pulled off next to a police car and an ambulance to help people. Oh, man, did I feel bad. I felt so bad. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to know love for them. I'm going to know they're getting to where they need to go safely. They're going to help the people they need to help, all as well. That's a beautiful little prayer when people fly by you on the highway. Because what is it? It's our stress that gets blown up. We've got a grip on the steering wheel. That guy doesn't have any stress. He's just going. So let's help him get there safely. So these 6 different approaches to mindfulness are fun to try anytime when you just are feeling a little unsettled or you've been waiting in a doctor's office 45 minutes. Who knows? You can use them there too. Mindfulness is part of our spiritual practice. It's number 5 on our list of spiritual practices. These are a list of our spiritual practices that we teach, and this sheet is on the board desk in the foyer. And on the other side is the principles of science of mind, oneness, creative process, spiritual laws, eternal life. And they're fun to read every once in a while. You go, oh, I forgot about that one. We're free to choose and create our experience of life. That's number 9. Okay, good. So enjoy those, kind of have them around every once in a while. I was reading them again this morning. It's like, boy, it's never enough. Never read these enough. So I think this past month, Sue and I have done really well being mindful. The energy may still be coming from someone who had a bad experience, but we're going to surf. We're going to keep on surfing. And what we're surfing, what we're saying while we're surfing, we invite healing for everyone involved. We invite healing. So I'd like to close with that opening reading that Damien did from Thich Nhat Hanh in his book, Planting Seeds, and it's all about teaching children mindfulness. It's a great book with great art in it. Oh, so join me. Breathing in, I see myself as a flower. Breathing out, I feel fresh. Breathing in, I see myself as a mountain. And breathing out, I feel solid. Breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathing out, I reflect things as they are. Breathing in, I see myself as space. And breathing out, I feel free. Thank you, God. And so it is.